We went on a 2-week road trip across southern Xinjiang in China. Here is how it went. The next morning, we checked out of our tent and started the drive back north. The plan was to stop at a famous glacier along the way before continuing on to our destination in Kashgar. After an hour drive along the highway, we reached the glacier site where we parked and went to check it out. The site is highly developed with a full visitor center along with tours, and the only way to get to the glacier was to take one of the buses to a 1.6-kilometer trail that takes you to the glacier viewpoint. We bought tickets, got on the bus, and got to the start of the trail where we had the option of walking or going on horseback. We had hoped we would at least get some sort of view of the glacier without having to go on the trail since my knee was injured and I couldn't walk for too long or ride a horse, but it turned out that there was no view from the trailhead, so we got back on the bus and went back to the car and continued our drive. As we reached the halfway point, we decided to pull over at the White Sand Lake for a toilet break, and since the lake was acting as a mirror because there was no wind that day. We spent some time here, flew the drone one last time on the trip, captured some great shots, and left the White Sand Lake. We enjoyed the scenic drive back just as much as we did on the way down, especially since we knew this was going to be our last full day in Xinjiang. As we left the mountainous and scenic part of the highway and entered the more populated stretch, traffic increased, and so did the heavy slow trucks. So we, like everyone else on the road, were constantly passing these trucks and sometimes slightly exceeded the speed limit in order to do it fast. But for the most part, we always kept our speed below or at the speed limit, and by that time had learned to recognize speed cameras along the road at which the local drivers always slowed down. So we were really surprised when suddenly a policeman at a road stop signaled for us to stop and pull over. This was obviously some kind of traffic infraction, and we expected it to be for speeding since we had exceeded the limit a few times to pass slow trucks and buses. We were told, however, that we were being stopped because we had crossed a solid yellow line while passing a bus. The policeman had a photo of our car committing the offense. After looking at our unconventional temporary foreigner driver's license, however, the policeman decided to let us off with a warning and did not issue a ticket. We weren't sure whether this was because he wanted to be lenient or because he couldn't figure out how to issue a ticket for our type of license, but nonetheless, we thanked him, promised not to do it again, and continued on. We obviously drove a lot more carefully after that and did not speed or pass anyone, at least for a while. As we approached the city, traffic got heavier, and we made our way back to the same hotel we stayed in on our previous 2 nights in Kashgar. This time we knew the way, and since we were a repeat customer by that time, we were upgraded to a bigger room with a patio, which we didn't use because we didn't have time. We had our last Kashgar dinner at a local posh restaurant and of course ordered one last Uyghur meal. The next morning we returned the car, extremely dirty after over 3,000 kilometers of driving, were taken to the airport, and flew from Kashgar to Chengdu as we started the long journey back home and reflected on this amazing trip. Our drive across southern Xinjiang was a complete success and is probably one of the most memorable and eye-opening trips that we have made. Not only did we visit a unique area of the world, but we learned so much about the local culture, history, and geography, and most of all, mingled with amazingly warm, hospitable, and generous people who welcomed us with open arms. Thank you, Xinjiang. If you like this video, then please hit the like button, leave a comment, or subscribe to see my other Xinjiang videos. Thanks for watching.